Nitro Allie here. Did you know the rear axle of a top fuel dragster takes on about 11,000 pounds of torque during a run? That torque is then transferred from the spool to the drive hubs, which turn the wheels and propel that car forward. So let's get into a little bit more detail. The axle itself measures 32.5 inches from wheel to wheel and is 3 inches in diameter. It is either made from steel, which weighs about 20 pounds, or titanium, which is significantly less. The axle uses a 12.25 inch gear set with a 3.2 to 1 gear ratio, which is the maximum allowed by the NHRA. The ring gear weighs about 19 pounds and the pinion is about 20 pounds. The pinion drives that ring gear, and that is where all the torque is being transferred from. The ring gear sits on the aluminum spool or spindle, which weighs about 15 pounds, and as that pinion is driving the gear, it's rotating or spinning the axle. Now inside of the spool, it is splined, meaning it has horizontal ridges, and those engage with the spline on the axle, which is through the center of the spool. Now, one thing to note is that one side of the axle is longer in between the splines of the spool than the other side. The middle splines are not dead center. So if you put the axle in backwards, you may end up losing an engine. This is because the axle will only be working on maybe a quarter of those center splines. When you hit the pedal, the splines will be ripped off, causing it to freewheel, which will knock the rods out. And that is what we call a very costly mistake. Now, you may ask, what specifically drives that wheel? That would be the drive hub. The drive hub sits on the main hub, which sits on the spool, along with 2 bearings and a seal. These are tightened with a lock nut and bolted down to the lug studs. Now on your car at home, the wheel is driven by those lug studs, and that used to be the case in Top Fuel. Unfortunately, years ago, there was an accident where those studs broke off due to the significant torque, causing the wheel to fly off and go into the crowd. After that, the rules were changed, and now the drive hub has kind of what looks like a gear in its form and design that locks in and engages the inner part of the wheel. There are splines on the inside of the drive hub, which attach the splines on the ends of the axle. The drive hub is held on by the lug nuts to the lug studs of the main hub, but the wheels are actually engaged by the drive hub. Now you know.